Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. Take a look over there at the United States stock market, which is set to open up in 28 minutes from right now. We'll take a peek over there at precious metals like gold and silver, and United States current, U.S. dollar currency index, or the DXY, and then we'll look over there at any type of crypto news or any type of financial news as we get ready to kick off this day. So I hope you are all doing very well. Of course, we try to keep it a little bit light, tight, and bright over here. So happy Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my
Okay, hi everybody. So I think last time when we did Markets in the Morning last week, it was this point in time where I accidentally muted the microphone and just kept yapping on. And then, of course, we had to end Markets in the Morning a little bit early. I think we only went like 47 minutes last week. Typically, I try to keep it in an hour. I mean, it usually goes an hour and a half, but I think should be okay and smooth running today. And we're off to a decent start without any hiccups to kick it off. So that must be a good omen. Price action over here in the cryptocurrency market, a little bit of red here as we get ready to kick off the day. You can see even in the title, I had it set at 75,700 for Bitcoin. We're at 74,900 right now. A lot going on in the market, obviously, since the last time we got together. And every time I create a new live stream, I pretty much just go back and reuse the old settings from the last live stream. And when we were together last week, Bitcoin was 89,900. And so I always just kind of modify the title a little bit with whatever the new prices are. And I was like, dang, this is a bigger change than we usually make this time, editing it to 75.7. Obviously, we're sitting at 74.9 right now. We're right back down at that floor level of what held back during the tariff sell-off back in April of last year. So we're just kind of hovering here at these levels. We've broken clearly through. Let's see, what were we at 89.9. So we were still, right above the 100-week moving average last week when we were together. And now, obviously, we've cracked all the way down through it. We've head back down to the support floor down in here. And we're just kind of waiting to see if there's going to be kind of a narrative-driven capitulation event that happens throughout the market. I think we're kind of getting close to the phase where, and I already see it a lot in the super chats coming through. People wanting to know where bottoms are, and bottoms are very difficult to predict. And I'll just kind of share my thoughts on it. So I've been through multiple bear markets in the crypto market, and they're all a little bit different. Typically, even with Bitcoin, right? If you just use simple stuff, usually it goes down to the 200-week moving average. Usually that holds. We know last time we went through the 200-week moving average back in 2022. There's also other theories that I've brought up in this market that I think are still possible in here. So it's going to, what you're going to see from me likely is if we end up seeing some type of move where there's like a capitulation event that happens, and then we see Bitcoin kind of settle in these upper 60s in here, I'll probably make like an official tweet or an official announcement of being like, hey, that bearish blockchain backer guy you've come to know and hate for the last 5 months, he has been put down, and we're now hunting for bottoms at this point, because once we get to $69,000, there becomes too many scenarios that a bottom could arrive at any point. And we're unfortunately not gonna have some like golden easy way right here today at 75,000 to definitively say where is the bottom. right? The bottom could be as high as $69,000. And that just goes back to all the things that we've talked about. I tweeted about this yesterday, showing tweets of just like, remember we shoot our way back up to the top. We put an ABC in here. We're looking for one more push up, right? These are all the things that we went through together and talked about for so long. And then when we got here, it was just like absolutely no one wanted to believe that that could possibly be the top happening in there. But then we roll over, right? So if this theory was correct, and like, right, if Bitcoin's going to still continue to go on and be able to set new all-time highs beyond this, it's not unreasonable that that could end up being the bottom. I don't know if it's going to be, right? But if there's a spot where you could like say, hey, this is the first level where like you could be the bottom at, right? That would be it. That's why I just consistently stayed with it. 74,000 isn't going to hold, right? It's not going to end up being the support level at all. If there's the first chance of there being a bottom that could come in, it would be here, in my personal opinion, right? Then we start getting dicey, because then there's all these other levels in here, and this is the kind of analyst I hate to be, to say, hey, like then you know, what if it's not that, right? Then what if then there's a plethora of other things that could happen down in here. And I saw a super chat come through just a minute ago, and it said, hey, look, if you look at past bear markets, we typically fall like 70%. You know, they put you down to 35,000 or so, and that's way down here. I hate to say it, that's reasonable too, right? That is if we don't hold in here, right? And there's like so many different scenarios you could create where you could say, well, hey, no, you know, be like, you know, the 200-week moving average is a reasonable level for it to be, or, you know, double tap, bull flag, breakout, short squeeze, violent back test into the bull flags, right? Right in here at like 66, boom, gone, right? You know, then you create scenarios where you say, hey, look, you know, like we talked about, do I have Ethereum open in here? No, but we can pull it up, and then I'll come back to this chart. Then you could go to F, right? We talked all about A wave equals C wave, right? In which the length of the A wave was equivalent to the length of the C wave, right? In an A, B, C correction. And so if you have a wave, right? A wave. Sorry, I'm silent. Right, that puts you at 52, right? That's the support level of this past range, right? So what do we just do? We just showed like multiple different scenarios of where it could land, right? Whether that's going to end up being the 200-week moving average, whether that's going to be length of A wave equals C wave, or is it going to just completely ricochet off of the 2021 all-time high? It's going to be real hard till we get there unless some type of like actual evidence shows up to confirm the bottom is in there. But I do know that I'll have to like make a public announcement to say, hey, look, that the bearish guy has been put to rest, and I have to shift into looking for bottoms, and I have to shift into like accumulation mode. The things are being like, hey, can we come all the way down here? Well, that would be consistent with past bear markets. Will it though? I don't know. Right. So I think I'm gonna refrain from being like a super big bottom predictor right now, because there are too many, right? This was the easy part. And I hate to tell everybody that what we've gotten through so far was the easiest part of it all. All the bearish indicators flipping over here on Bitcoin, it just made it clear as day and obvious that we've been acting just like past bear markets. And you can just see that when we go onto the monthly time frame. I'm usually showing you this MACD in this style setting, but I can put us over here on log scale on here just to show you exactly how it's always been, right? Like we flip on the monthly, we get very clear indicators of when they end up happening in here. And then like right here, it's like, 5 or 6 months into it, it capitulates, 5 or 6 months into it, 5 months into red bars, we go into capitulation. Right in here, 5 or 6 bars into it, we've completely capitulated, right? Yeah, it does nip a little bit lower in here, but things like XRP bottom right there, things like Ethereum bottom right there. I think Binance Coin bottoms right there. You have a lot of stuff that bottoms in the market right there in June of 2022. So, I think it's going to just be like, hey, do we see a capitulation event show up? Do we have some confluence show up on things like the XRP price chart at the same time, or altcoins? Do we see something on Ethereum happening here where you have A wave equals C wave, right? Do we have some measurements that are consistent in there and finding the confluences and saying, look, we have confluence of this, and this. Here's the argument for why where we're at currently right now may be the bottom. The first place I'm going to look for a sign will be right back there, 69K, right? And that's actually what I've said from the very beginning and why I never thought 74K would end up being a hold. And I thought too many people think that this is going to end up being the low and that if we take it out, then we're bearish, right? They're going to hold the whole way down here. And then we're going to get there, we're going to take it out, and they're going to all say, oh, we're invalidated, we're time to be bearish. And then boom, we could potentially ricochet off of that level just right after we cross through 74K. I don't know if it's going to do that, right? If it does if we see a reaction, an aggressive reaction, boom, then there's your answer. But having the bearish bias that I've had for the last several months, I have to put that to rest there because it does become actively bottom hunting at that point. I have no idea if it's going to end up being it or if it's going to end up holding until, of course, if there's some insane reaction. If there's an insane reaction, boom, we'll know the answer to it. But I won't know until we get there. But that was the first initial target of where this thing could end up going. So we'll end up seeing on there. And I'm sure I'll have a lot more questions pertaining to that type of stuff once I get into super chats and things like that. Things that are obviously absent of the market currently right now are any types of catalysts. We just don't have any catalysts still within the market, and that, we're getting to a point now where, when it comes to sentiment, that it's just like 2022, that we had our silent fall in here, and everybody remained super bullish throughout that fall. And then we started falling some more, and then this is where sentiment really started to shift. I think we're starting to see sentiment start to shift right now, because I think a lot of you could just see it, right? You could see it out there on X. A lot of the technical analysis is now becoming very waffly on what their thoughts are. Right, the bullish bias is starting to get lost. The arguments are starting to get lost. There was a very strong narrative. I showed it on the video there the other day that this was still being determined to be a bull market so long as the 74K didn't get broken through. Right, but we've shown on the technical indicator side of this whole thing that it definitely has not been a bear market for several months at this point. But there still are no catalysts, and that's the thing that. Usually the ending is going to come with something kind of scary, and where it's not just some people are doing it. Like what we need, what I would love to see is like I have my own subscription list on YouTube, right, of crypto people, right, and so all of them, they just it's been shocking to me just the whole way down. It's still just been nothing but bull posting stuff. But once the crowd definitively becomes bearish, and then YouTubers feel comfortable that they don't have to be posting bullish anymore, but they can post bearish content and say we're in a bear market, that's when the bottom typically happens. And it typically takes us getting to capitulation for that to end up occurring. Once crowd sentiment is totally washed, and right, crowd sentiment becomes totally washed at the end. Hope gets given up at the end. And I swear I want to write a book about it. Like, I know I haven't started my book yet. Like I talked about, I wanted to write a book during the break. No, I haven't started because I haven't found a good topic, but it almost feels like what it is like to be from my angle, what it is like to be a content creator, what it is like with just seeing it from my angle and watching it, I just feel like there's a book there, a good one. And so I'm really starting to kind of get an idea on what I think I'm going to write about. But we're waiting. I think we have to wait until we have something happen where everybody's bearish. The content creation, what happens is you psychologically get to a point where you can't create bullish content anymore because people don't want to hear it anymore. You have to create bearish content because that's what everybody wants to hear. And are we there yet? Or are we like in a middle ground still? I think we're starting to kind of shift towards people are accepting bearish content now. But I don't know if we're at the point yet where, right, like reflect on 2022 and 2023. It took the market crashing for everybody to be in agreement that we're going to go to 12K. Remember that? Like, for those who were around, remember, there was a whole year where I couldn't do we couldn't do a markets in the morning, or we couldn't do anything, and it not be people telling me we're going to 12K, right? I don't have people coming on here telling me constantly that we have to go lower, and that's usually a psychological element that ends up occurring. Edward Lang, I see you, brother. Thank you. And of course, Chief Dane came out the gates right in the beginning. Thank you. We'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, we're missing a catalyst, right? One of the things that I said that I'm concerned about in a bear market would be the Bitcoin treasury companies. And there's no evidence yet that these things are, like, there's no public evidence available yet to say these things are in any trouble or that they're going to have to start selling Bitcoin. But their price charts are saying something. And this is 21 Capital's Bitcoin treasury company, right? This is the Jack Mallers one. This is ProCap Financial. This one's Anthony Pompliano's. You can see that Jack Mallers, it's down 88%. Anthony Pompliano's is down 86%. I don't know if this means anything in regards to stress that they could be feeling. If they even have stress, I don't know. But it is interesting to me to see these things down almost 90%. And does this mean something, right? And so I was trying to ask ChatGPT about it, and I was kind of like, why would this thing, right? And I don't know if this is the true reason, right? So like maybe my information is incorrect, but I said, why would it fall from $10 all the way down to $2, right? It's not like they unloaded any other Bitcoin, and it's not like since December that Bitcoin has fallen 78%. And, ChatGPT was saying, well, what could be happening is the market is pricing in that they're not going to be able to continue to hold on to their Bitcoin, right? And that something could end up happening, and that's why the market is pricing it well below NAV, right? And so I don't know. But it's weird. It's weird to see these things down so much. This is a lot. And I don't know if it's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on or if this is going to end up being the narrative, right? Again, narratives are typically something we can't predict. They're usually surprises. But one way I always imagine the bottom happening would be that whether it's these ones or whether it's different ones, I think the market would start kind of freaking out. Participants would start freaking out if they started hearing that Bitcoin treasury companies were having to unload their Bitcoin and sell their Bitcoin. I don't know if that's going to end up happening. I don't know if it's going to happen for these two. I have no insights into knowing that. But I do see very, very big numbers on the screen when Bitcoin's percentage drop does not reflect that. And so are they pricing something in? I don't know. But will this be the narrative? We'll see. All right. As for XRP, of course, it's still just churning along, humming along. It took out the April support back over in here since the last time we spoke, right? When were we together last? We were together on the 28th when XRP was $1.90 or so. We have now taken out the April low over in here. It's kind of waddling around in here. I don't know the exact way this will look, but I do suspect a capitulation to be on the horizon. I did see multiple super chats coming through on whether I thought this we were still going to see a bigger fall. I do still think that. And whether it's going to look exactly like this, whether it's going to throw back and do a back test first in here on something like this. Other examples that we've shown in here, of course, this was like the Cardano example from back in 2021. You can see that, right? It pulls off these moves in here. It does fall initially breaking below, but it does end up as well going back for a back test first. Don't know if it's going to do it or if we're going to capitulate from right in here, but keeping in mind those things are certainly possible to happen in there, and we could do that in here too as well, or it could just go straight for capitulation. I don't know. I'm sitting in my hands, not touching anything right now. Totally just being patient right now to see how things kind of manifest themselves here in the coming days and the coming weeks. So we'll see. Again, things like this. This has been. I posted about this over there on X. This is Ondo, and it was just interesting. I don't know if it's bots replaying in my stuff or what it is, saying like, it's not fun to have to post this stuff, back when this was like 58 cents to say, hey, look, like this is what happens when these things are going into bear markets. And I got people like in the comments saying, I disagree with you. I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm quoting a tweet that I did back in November of last year to show this is what was expected. Like, no, I disagree with you. Like, what do you, there's nothing to disagree. I'm just showing what happened. But again, like it's late stage stuff, right? Like the positive thing I can bring to you on all of this is being like, why do you think prices didn't do anything in 2025, right? Why do you think it felt like a bear market all of 2025? Why are prices right now lower than 2025? It's because we've been in a bear market. The good news is, even with these things, right? You can see it in here. Historically speaking, right? Like we've talked about it a lot to be like, hey, look, it could potentially wrap up like late February, early March. Even in these examples, right? All of them, and if we just go based off of these data points alone, we have never taken longer than the sixth candle for it to be capitulation. Never taken longer than the sixth candle. So the sixth candle would be in April. It has never gone longer than that to get to capitulation. So, right, it's not like we're talking this is the start of a bear market, which is what the crowd is going to think, or we're just beginning, right? It's like we're almost at the big grand finale, whether that's this month, next month, or April. We're like getting near the grand finale, right? Not the beginning, but the end. Then what we all get to do is bicker and argue about, is the bottom in, right? No, we're going to go a little lower, or no, it's going to take a year to go back up, right? And we start all bickering and fighting over, how long does it take for us to recover and things like that all over again, right? But when it comes to like capitulation and the ending of the most dramatic part of it, that's, that historically speaking could happen this month, next month, and at the latest April, right? I don't think it's going to take till April, but the longest it ever has would be something like that, in which you could see represented on the chart right here in front of you. And that would be the end, right? So we're not debating about the start of a bear market. We're debating about the ending of one, right? So we'll see how long it ends up taking. And that like this, right? This shows you, this is not the start of a bear market, like on things like Ondo, right? This is about trying to find the end of one, not the start of one. Stocks, how are we doing today? Have stocks opened yet? They open in 5 minutes. You got the Russell up 13. You got the Dow up 67. You got the S&P up 3. You got silver back at 91. Silver and gold have been ridiculously volatile. You got gold back above $5,000 today. The dollar being all over the place. The dollar went and swooped those lows from months ago. Now back above at 97.5. Gold 5,040. This is the pain trade of crypto. This is the pain. This is like Here's how I equate the gold trade to crypto. Uh, when Jack Mallers created that video where he was crying and he was saying XRP and Ripple were like, I don't remember what he was saying. He was saying they were like the evil part of crypto or whatever he was doing, whatever Jack Mallers was doing. You guys know what I'm talking about. He made that video where he was crying or whatever he was doing. He was like visually upset, right? And that's because XRP was like ripping. It had just ripped from like 50 cents to $3. And then, he was very upset. And crypto Twitter was very upset because they weren't in the XRP trade. I look at it that same way. That's how they relate to gold. And we are the only industry that does that. Where you look at another asset and get visually upset at that asset for going up. Yeah, but obviously they want it to end. But I doubt the gold trade is done. It may consolidate for a while. If I had to place my best guess, there probably is still a new high for gold, but it may see a deep correction after that. But there probably is still one more high. One thing though is I brought this up in a newsletter, not the last newsletter that I just published a couple of days ago, but in the one prior to that. And I brought this up in Markets in the Morning last week that I was like, I don't know what silver was that day, 121. I said, I don't know, or I don't think silver's a better play than Bitcoin for now. And I still don't, there is a chance that this Bitcoin to silver ratio goes lower, where silver does still outperform Bitcoin a little bit more. But I don't think for much longer. And I think in the coming years, we're probably going to see Bitcoin outperform silver again. But when in years from now, barring it is years from now, we will probably have to bring this chart back up. And if the Bitcoin to silver ratio gets back to $2,000, we'll be looking to see, are there similarities that were happening at our previous top that we have to be worried about again? And will it be time for silver to reign king? And that the 45-year breakout in silver, right, which could potentially pull back down here into the 60s, just be gearing up to go for a multi-$100 run. And my current bias is that it is. The thing with crypto, though, is, of course, everybody wants that to happen sooner than later. And I've talked about it a lot with precious metals. It's a much slower game. And I know that sounds like an oxymoron when you have a candle like that printed on it. But usually the game is a lot slower with precious metals. And so, it could take a couple years for something like that to play out. But either way, all right, there you go. Bitcoin 75.1. Bitcoin treasuries, are you open yet? Not yet. You open in a minute. XRP at 156. We'll see what happens here when the stock market opens, if we're ready to do anything or not. I assume there's going to be a lot of price questions when we get into these super chats. All right. Again, liquidations still just continue. It's just nonstop. This was obviously a thing I wrote about in here. Leverage persists as depth diminishes, right? So, just a brief synopsis of what that means, right? We are still watching that people are longing this market with leverage, right? There's still confidence there. It's a reflection of the hope. It's a reflection of the constant bull posting on X and the YouTube videos and everything like that. Is people still have the confidence to be able to do it. But what keeps happening, what we keep watching occur, is their leverage longing. And then when the liquidations come, the depth diminishes, which means like the spread, the 2% spread, right? The 2% depth on these assets gets wiped out because market makers are pulling their liquidity and these liquidations just keep happening. And so market makers are not as confident as retail. Retail is leverage longing, and on any sign of weakness, Market makers are pulling liquidity right away. And so we just keep kind of seeing that same thing over and over of they're leverage longing and then they're pulling and then liquidity is getting pulled. So careful on that. All right, let's just jump through the news really fast. AMD is down 9% after reporting earnings. Here's why. Private payrolls rose about 22,000 in January, far short of expectations. Uber reports 20% growth revenue in fourth quarter, fueled by fuel delivery. Yeah, it was chilly. It was chilly outside. All right, Whale's 9 billion Bitcoin sale was not due to quantum concerns, says Galaxy Digital. Ethereum price is a classic chart pattern, puts sub 2KF in focus. DAT panic dump 73,000 Ethereum, India's crypto tax days, Asia Express. Suspicious projects outpush legitimate ones in crypto press releases. Suspicious projects outpublish legitimate ones in crypto press releases. That is very funny to read that in Cointelegraph. How many times have I commented that why is it like in these top 10 stories we hear about like gaming cryptos and things like that? Like random gaming cryptos we've never heard of. You never see anybody tweeting about or anything like that, but it's here in the top 10 news. Some like random gaming thing. I almost made it. No, the UK hasn't completely flopped on crypto. 4 reasons why 75K may mark Bitcoin's 2026 price floor. Trump's Fed nomination, a mixed signal for Bitcoin, U.S. liquidity analyst. White House officials met with crypto banking reps to discuss stablecoins. MetaMask adds tokenized U.S. stocks, ETFs, commodities via Ondo. Wrench attacks increased by 75% in 2025. Stablecoins. I am very tempted to buy Circle. I am very tempted to do it. How's Master doing? Still going down. I am very tempted to buy Circle stable coins. I'm bullish on stable coins, man, long term. And right now, like the news is real crummy on them because it's whether or not they're going to find their way to do stuff in this legislation. So everybody's like real pessimistic on it. So it's like, is it the perfect time to just grab a bag? I might. I'll let y'all know if I do it. Okay. 74.6. 74.6. Where's that floor at? Is it 74.4, I think, is where that's at? There you go. Okay. I think we've covered everything. Again, I'm sure we'll cover a lot of things in the questions. There'll be a lot of questions. So let's just hop right on into it. Chief Tane, of course, man, before the stream even starts, he's like here waiting, man. He's ready to go. And then he just drops 50 memberships every time. And then he never types anything ever. Or if I just never see it, but I don't ever see anything from Chief Tane, just kind of a silent lurker who's ready to go at the beginning every single time, man. Thank you so much. Djin, Hola BCB, is XRP's long drawn out chop? Oh, in XRP's long drawn out chop, where do you personally have your buy orders placed? Based on historical chop price action you've shown, what's the lowest level you think possible? So I know this. Let me say this. Djin, thank you very much. I think I can do all these next 3. So I'm going to thank Djin. He then came with another super chat and said, do you still see a path for XRP to make a move towards $1 or near 95 cents? Or is that low? Too unlikely even consider since we are in chop now. Well, we've been in chop. It's whether we're actually in capitulation now. And then I'm going to get Ripple Reverend at the same time. He says, hey, BCB, you've been absolutely killing it, brother. I find it hard to really listen to anyone else. Oh, wait, no, that's very kind of you. Okay, no, okay, well, yes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm acting super disheveled right now as I'm reading this to you. But Ripple Reverend then super chatted very generously, and he says, "I've never been much of a trader, just a buy and hold type of guy, and you've really opened my eyes. Thank you. I'm mostly a buy and hold guy too. I'm not a trader. And once I start buying later, it's accumulation. There's going to be no stop losses on it. It's going to be just buy and hold stuff. But then Ripple Reverend right after that said, you play some stink bids." I think I speak for everyone when I say, well, what price did you do that at? What are your thoughts on Ripple and Stellar being named in the lists that were recently released? So Degen asked, where are my buy orders placed? And then Ripple Reverend asked, where are your stink bids placed? Here, this is, let me show you this. A stink bid is a stake bid is an extremely low ball offer. The bid is often so low that it may offend the seller. So, they're offensively low. Very low. So the stink bids are only going to be there in the event that there's a liquidation. If a major liquidation ends up happening, it's whether or not I can catch a stink bid. Essentially, it'd be catching something like that. If you were sitting here at $2.80 and somebody told you, hey, I've got a stink bid at $1.59, people would be like, no way that's going to happen. You think there's just going to be some liquidation that occurs there. Well, you could have gone to other exchanges and had your stink bids actually get hit, right? Like look over here on Kraken. A stink bid all the way down to $1.40 would have gotten hit over in here. And then over there on Binance, stink bids all the way down to 78 cents would have gotten hit. So my stink bids are offensively low, right? They sit in between like 70 cents to $1. However, if we start seeing things become structurally, grinding, and it looks like there's orderly flow happening to them, those will get removed and it'll be strategic entries. But yeah, 70 cents to $1 and that's just for if there's a liquidation. I need to refresh YouTube. So the reason why I acted so disheveled when I was talking earlier is YouTube does this weird thing when I'm live streaming. Is sometimes it like gets messed up. I always like kind of tell you, oh, it looks like YouTube's about to crash on me. So I'm trying to like move between things, but it's really delayed, and I have to like talk and fill time while YouTube's trying to load this stuff, and it's weird. I don't know why it does it for me. It's got to do it for other people. There's no way it only happens to me. But okay, I just refreshed it all. And here we go. Okay. Sergio, can you please analyze the copper graph? I don't really have anything to say for copper. It looks like Bitcoin treasuries are still down more. It looks like a major breakout, right? It looks like it's about to have a major breakout. How long will it take? 10 years, 5 years, 1 year? I don't know. But it looks like a breakout to me. Everyday airline pilot, thank you very much. Am I just seeing things I want to? The crashing structure on the gold to silver ratio and silver doing the violent part of a double tap bull flag breakout V bottom. I don't know if I see double tap bull flag breakout back to V bottom on silver. As for the Bitcoin to silver ratio, I don't see crashing structure either, and I don't necessarily know that it will look like a crashing structure. Right, so what he's referring to with crashing structure is where, 1, 2, 3, boom, right? Where 1, 2, I can't write 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls back up to wave 4 within wave 5, and then there's 7 to conclude it. I don't know if you're going to get something that clean here on this chart in here. I do think probable it sets another low in here, but when that happens, I do think Bitcoin's going to be the better trade for the foreseeable future than silver will be. At least until we get back to near 2,000 ounces per Bitcoin. Jaxer, hey Dad, why is this a shallow bear market if all previous peak to capitulation moves have been more than 75%? Could Bitcoin reasonably do 70% to 35,000? Okay, so that's a great question, right? So what he's claiming is that this bear market right here, right, 77%. The thing that's interesting about this one, of course, this is our shallowest one we've ever had. And let me get a different chart. We'll go to Bitstamp. All right, so this one is 77%. The one prior to that is 84. The one prior to that was 87. So they technically have gotten shallower and shallower and shallower, right? And so the question is, well, shouldn't it go at least that deep? Well, you start getting into kind of weird questions on, how deep does it have to go, barring that it isn't like the permanent top for Bitcoin and it's crashing to zero. But if it's going to continue repeating and start a whole nother cycle all over again, well, the percentage is, off the lows in here, right? It goes up 2,100% and then corrects 77%. Right? We only go up 700% here, right? Does it necessarily have to, right? Does it have to go down that far? I don't know if it does, right? And that's going to be the really hard part after this. Like I said earlier in the stream, this has been the easy part. And that it's been real unfortunate because I've had to really kind of battle against the crowd a lot. That this has been the easy part. Picking the bottom is going to be the hard part because we can draw up 1,000 scenarios for how the bottom could happen, whether it's going to end up happening here at 69K, whether it's going to end up having to be back at the 200-day moving average, or whether it's going to have to be some type of 70% crash getting back down to these levels right here, right? Like these levels down in here, like we could play the A wave equals C game over here with the total market cap. Right, A wave equals C wave. Where does that take you down to? All the way down over here. Right? Now, whether that means this floor in here, which is closer to 50K on Bitcoin, or is it going to be closer to 38K on Bitcoin? There's going to be a lot of challenges that we have to decipher in the thick of the moment. And that's why a catalyst arriving would kind of help us a little bit to say that could be it. But again, this has been the easy part. Now comes the actual hard part. Finding the bottom, and is it as low as only 69K? Is it at 65? Is it all the way down here at 57 or 58 with the 200-week moving average? Or has it got to get all the way down to this bad boy down in here? And we'll look for volume profiles, timing. We'll look for a lot of things that we do. But in the right now, you have to reflect back when we were talking about the top, right? When we had the top, it's not like we had all the evidence of it in here, right? But then when we got in here, we started seeing a lot of the evidence and had to make the call at the time. It's probably going to be like that in here, where we're still going to have to be coming in every day, looking at it, deciphering it, looking for confluence factors to show up within the market, and then saying we have this, and this to argue the bottom is happening right here. And then hopefully that's what it ends up being. Today, we don't have any of those things, right? So we have to kind of get there first and say, all right, are we seeing evidence of it? Right? Otherwise, we are literally blind guessing into the oblivion to say, hey, will we just backtest the previous all-time high? Like, why do I have so much stuff on here now? I'm just going to hide all of this. There. All right. Are we just going to backtest the all-time high like we did in here and like all of our original discussions of ABC and then set the high and then come flying back down? And are we just going to hit the high at 69K? Right? Well, 74K was never going to hold, but will 69? Maybe. Right? Will it have to act like a regular bear and go at least to the 200-week moving average? Or will it have to get a 70% correction? We're going to have to wait until all those things show up and give some type of evidence, right? But at 69K, I can no longer reasonably say that I have to have a bearish bias, because we could be actively hunting for a bottom at any point once we are there, at any point. Robert Barker, hey BCB, back when you nailed SUI at 50 cents before it was over at $5 with a setup like Sol had before it went on a big run, Hyperliquid is identical to how SUI looked. Could you take a look at the thing? So I'm eyeing Hyperliquid because I don't own any of it, okay? In the event of a capitulation, I'm not going to buy a lot of coins. Maybe I'll buy Hyperliquid. One reason I haven't bought Hyperliquid yet is, one, I don't think the market has capitulated. And two, I suspect the move that we've seen over here in Hyperliquid is really exactly the other things that we've seen over here in the market already. This is the post-liquidation range, right? This is where the breakdown happens. This is it going back to it. We just saw several other coins do this. We saw XRP do this. We saw Polygon do this. Right there. There's the post-liquidation range shuffle back up here. And a lot of these is just happening on different timings. And that's been the really hard part about this too, is it hasn't been like a confluent move of the whole crypto market at one time, where it's like total 2 doing it together or total 3 doing it together, where they're all just shifting right back up at the post-liquidation range backtest together. These are all happening at like different times. Right, like XRP goes shuffling right back to its post-liquidation range level. We talked about it live as it was happening. I suspect that is what this actually is right here for Hyperliquid. But it's one I'm eyeing that I do think I will end up buying later. I don't own any of it right now. If it goes fire into the upside and I miss it, so be it. But we'll see. Jaxer, oh boy. All right, here we go. What do crypto enthusiasts and guacamole lovers have in common? No matter how bad it gets, they always buy the dip. Thank you so much, sir. And it's good to see you, man. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time. Texas Takeover member for 33 months. Happy Wednesday, brother. Thank you. Bootleg Kool-Aid member for 3. Monero pulled back further than the 21.18 all-time high, and we still have the big flush coming, which sucks. What do you see in the charts for a BCB pick me up? That's hard. Like we talked about last week, like, is it a good place to buy? Well, it's like, it's back at the all-time high. It's a typical level, but if the market flushes, what's going to happen? I don't know. Still, I don't know if the market's going to flush. I posted about this over the weekend, showing how, like, up until this point, right? The average drawdown, or not the average, the median drawdown was at like 54% since October 4th. But the ones that were above the median, like notable ones above the median, there's only one coin that was in the positive, and that was Monero at plus 40%. I don't know what it is today, but it's shown obvious strength in all of these elements. But in a capitulation event, I don't know. Like from a technical perspective, if you were just viewing it as like a breakout of a an all-time high, you would just hope that it would just be a quick little back test, but it's not. It's gone beneath these, right? Would not be surprising at all to just slam back not that far, slam back down in here. But I don't know if it's just gone a little lower or not. We'll see. In the end, it still has been the strongest coin out of the market, even at these prices. Like here's October. It's like the only one. Like here's the October 10th liquidation stuff. Right in here. This is where 99% of the market goes like this and just now start going like that. Like that's 99% of the market right now. But it's up. So I don't know. We'll see. It's not pretty and not clean. Anthony Althauser, followed since 2021. Because of you, I had the confidence to buy in the depths of despair and sell in 2025. Your insight about emotional management is why my family has a home. I am eternally grateful. Thank you very much, and congratulations to you. I'm just a dude on the internet. Yeah. So thank you. But it's all you, man. It's all you. I'm just here for the journey. I don't even know how many people we have in here. How many people we have watching right now? 1,800. Hey, we're getting some numbers again. Welcome, everybody. If you could please hit the like button. It is the #1 way to support me. And if you also have the ability to donate $1 million, that would probably trump it. But if not, I understand. Get back to me when you do. All right. Dylan Kanker. I don't know, is that right? Lanker. Dylan Kerr. Sorry. In 2022, it took 6 months after your highlighted box for Bitcoin to bottom. Why do you keep saying we are very close to the bottom now, but your charts aren't matching that? Serious question. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's negligible, right? 17,000 to 15, right? It's negligible. In addition, all right, so what is this date? This is June of 2022. XRP bottoms in June of 2022. That is the bottom. Right? Let's go to Ethereum. Ethereum bottoms in June of 2022. Right? Yeah, you got a little bit of a dip over there in Bitcoin that goes, a little bit lower. Ethereum does not. XRP does not. In addition, if we're talking about capitulations, right? Let's go over here. Right? Capitulation. Right? 3,400. It goes to 3. Right? In the coming days and weeks, Does it go much lower? No. Right? The meat of the move, the literal meat of the move is where? The meat of the bear market is this. Right? So what we can bicker about is that. Nope, that was the true bottom. Yep, technically correct for Bitcoin. The true bottom was here for Ethereum. The true bottom was here for XRP. The true bottom was not here for many altcoins. Many altcoins still continued going lower, and this was not the true bottom for many altcoins either. So that's going to be a challenge moving forward too, right? But there were true bottoms here in June, and that is the true bottom for the altcoin market. June, right? Bitcoin does set a little low here, but that's the true bottom, right? So it's a good question, but I hope that shows why. Thank you, Dylan. Kurt. Kelly Black, any chance of a Dash retrace if Bitcoin fiddles around at this level for a while? Dash never really had its turn after Zcash and Monero. Much love, BCB. Yeah, well, things that I don't have any evidence of it, right? But I'll just say, in the thick of the Zcash stuff, when I sold my whole Zcash bag, it went to the 4.236 extension of the market cap, which again reiterates, guys. So lock this into your head too. When it comes to these altcoins, people are looking at these 5-cent altcoins and giving themselves $2, $3 targets on them and stuff. If your market cap does not allow that, maybe think about it, because we just saw the evidence of it once again with Zcash hitting the extension, right, with the market cap, and that was the thing that mattered. In the thick of the moment, I took the action, blind to it. Hey, we're at the 4.236 extension. Boom, that was it, and that's how it ended once again. A thing that skeptical about the Zcash run, and it's interesting to see it show up in emails and things of whatnot recently, is the players involved in Zcash, right? You had Barry Silbert, you have the Winklevoss twins in it, and it felt like, I have no evidence of it, it felt like a coordinated pump. And it felt like the Ethereum Classic pump that we saw back in 2021, which I was making the references to at that time, saying, hey, look, when we had this weird thing happen, it was the top. And so it's hard, I think Dash was a little bit of a recipient of those market conditions. But I think the true underlying bid was happening within Zcash, and I speculate there were players involved that made that happen with zero evidence to show that. I have no evidence, so it's full speculation. Dash just did its push back to do the same thing I just talked about with Hyperliquid. I even highlighted it in the thick of it, being kind of watch out. As it already went back and hit these levels. This is the same dates and stuff of where the post liquidation range breakdown happened for the market, and Dash has already gone back and hit that. And so I'm not so sure on anything more with Dash. I feel like there's some action here that I don't want to miss right now. Right, and again, right, these are things we're talking about. A leg equals, right? A leg equals C leg for the altcoin market. A leg equals C leg, right? This is what we're talking about. Somebody was asking about, Bitcoin going down to 30K, right? If A leg equals C leg over here on the altcoin market, right? Where does it land? Right here. Which for Bitcoin is right here, right? 38K or whatnot. Again, I'm not going to predict that. If you're sitting here and you're panicked about that, you really need to go back and watch the whole video right now. We're in a volatile time of emotions right now. Go watch the whole video or the whole live stream. Matty B. For a mid cap like CRV, which is already down 95% from 2021 high of $6.80 now to 28 cents, how much worse can it get? Where might stink bids be put? That's a coin I don't follow. I'm just not interested. I'd maybe ask people who follow it. I personally don't. I do my best not to talk bad about other people's coins. And so when I bring this up here, this was never to talk bad about Ondo, because you know what I know? I know a lot of XRP people hold Ondo too. So I was just showing it to be like, hey, look, I know you got it. I did a lot of market research in 2023 and 2024. So for those who have been around through all these years, we spent a tremendous amount of time studying the market to understand why did the crypto market do what it did right here. And because what ended up happening here is no alt season showed up in here, right? It was very, very perplexing of why no alt season showed up here and why all the evidence showed that the top of the market happened back here. We set this new high, but it appeared that the alt season happened here and that the alt season was very weak, right? XRP didn't set a new all-time high. Many coins didn't set new all-time highs. As a matter of fact, only 20% of the top 100 even touched the all-time high, with really only like 10% even escaping from it. And it all showed up in here. And we spent a lot of time studying that to understand what happened, right? And so by going through that, I'm very grateful to have. I'm not grateful that I had to go through this trash. This sucked. It was hard to sleep at night when Luna collapsed, even though I didn't own any. Or for the market to do that and for no alt season to show up. It was all very painful, right? But it taught me a big lesson, right? It forced me to get better. It forced me to study the market to understand what happened. And it made me dissect into altcoins. What were some of the reasons why some did? What were the reasons why some didn't? What were the elements that were happening in the market? It's why... and so in 2023 and 2024, I really dedicated a lot of my time to understand what the heck was this. This is super different than all the past tops we've ever seen in the market before. All of our market tops have been blow-off tops of euphoria and excitement and craziness. What is this rolling nonsense? Why was there a new high when like 90% of the altcoins didn't set a new all-time here? They all set their high back over here. What is this crud? And I had to spend all of 2023 and 2024 studying that. And so then when we came into here and we came into these elements, I was able to show that to you and scream it from the rooftops that it was happening because we had seen it before and I'd studied it so intensely in 2023 and 2024. And that's why when we got into Q4 of 2025 and everybody's screaming for Q4 2017, I'm sitting here saying, well, you do realize we all got slaughtered by the market in Q4 of 2021 and it was brushed off by the market. That's how I understood that. When I went through the altcoins in there, I did a lot of research on things like development activity, user activity levels, inflation metrics, and percentage drawdowns, right? So we're about to address the question that you just asked. Things we noticed from the 2021 bull run were that things that were in the high development activity group, I can't remember the number off the top of my head. I think maybe it was 55% of the coins that were in the high development activity group were capable of setting a new all-time high in 2021. Coins from the top 20 by market cap, I think it was like 20 or 25% of those coins were capable of setting new all-time highs in the 2021 bull run. And the group that did the absolute best in the 2021 bull run in sheer number of coins capable of setting new all-time highs and percentage terms was the shallowest drawdown group of percentage drawdown during the 2018 bear market. Those were the ones capable of doing the best going into new all-time highs in 2021. It was 65% of those coins were capable of going into new all-time highs. Where I just told you, out of the top 100 coins, only 20% were capable of touching their all-time highs. From the shallowest drawdown group, 65% of them did. Now we move over here into 2024, 2025, and 2026, and we get to look back on it, and we get to say, hey, who was capable of setting new all-time highs? I haven't run all those numbers yet to see what it is for development activity or what it is for percentage for user activities, or from the top 20 by market cap to do that, which we will do here, right? Those newsletters will happen in the coming months. But one thing I do know is, again, the shallowest drawdown group was the best performing group again in 2025. Because I remember I remember a lot of the coins that were in it. You had Tron, you had XRP, you had Binance Coin, you had Ethereum, Bitcoin, right? Those are just 5 of them. And there's only 10 in that group. And so at least 50% of them went into new all-time highs versus the market, which the whole market of the top 100 by market, it can't be more than 10% set new all-time highs, right? It can't be. And of the ones that did set new all-time highs, they just touched, right? Ethereum just touched. Binance Coin actually set a legitimate all-time high, not by like multiples, almost double. But again, it's that shallowest drawdown group. One thing that we learned from the shallow drawdown group from 2018 through 2021 was if a coin had like a greater than 96% drawdown, the statistical probability of it setting a new all-time high in the next cycle, if it had a 96% drawdown, the statistical probability of it setting a new all-time high in the next cycle was only 2%. It only had a 2% chance of setting a new all-time high if it was at least 96% drawdown. So when we move forward, right, I think those are going to be things to pay attention to, right? Again, who is holding up well? I made a post recently over the weekend and said, we're already at, a negative 54% median for the top 20 notable coins that are still holding up well, right? I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I think it was Monero, Tron, Binance Coin, Hyperliquid, XRP, Binance Coin. I think I just said Binance Coin. I don't know. I think I listed like 7 or 8 of them that are holding up notably higher, right? But we can look at this too, right? You can see Bitcoin Cash, Tron, BNB. Where's ETH? Right, are we still at? There you go, from October 4th. ETH's slipping a little bit. 51%. Oh, dang, it's at 51% since October 4th. That's crazy. It wasn't that when I posted it. Was it like 44? Okay, anyway. But kind of get an idea of who's holding up well, right? These ones that are holding the bottom of the list, way down in here, typically not good signs based on historical data, right? So I'm not here to poo-poo on anybody's coin. I love that you love your coin. I love that people are passionate about crypto. It's what makes crypto so dope. But I'm a data I'm a data analyst, right? And just present data and say, here's what happens when these things end up occurring, or when these indicators happen, or when these things trigger, blah, blah, blah. I think the coins to pay attention to are going to be the ones that are capable of retaining strength during the drawdown. Those are the ones to really pay attention to. And that's what I'm going to do. So I don't want to comment on people's coins. I don't want to do anything like that. But if you're going to ask about percentage drawdowns and stuff like that, 95% down from the 2021 high. Look at the market caps, study the market caps. How high could it go based on the market cap? And, understanding the odds. I like the odds, man. It's my favorite thing. So, yeah. All right. Curtis, 3347. You're the boss. Thanks for doing what you do. Well, thank you for just the super kind commented super chat. Thank you. Sandal. Thoughts on Bitcoin dominance new highs incoming? No, I don't really have any thoughts on it. I don't know if it's just going to stay there. Like, it's done a retrace. Right. This is, and I don't want to get into all this bear versus bull arguing stuff happening in here, but this is like one of the stronger arguments the bulls have, and I've always given it to them and agreed with them. This is one of your stronger arguments that you do have, and you can look at this even on the monthly time frame. A clear breakdown here in the Bitcoin dominance relative strength, and look at over here on the MACD, right? When do you see these things happen? They happen right before like an alt season ends up happening. I don't think we have the macro conditions by a long shot, macro crypto conditions for a long shot for alt season, because alt seasons happened into euphoria, right? They happen into euphoria during breakouts of previous all-time highs, right? That's when they end up happening. We're so far past anything like that. It's not consistent to think you're going to have one now. Anytime, not ever. I'm saying like today, like you're not going to have one now today. But these are all like exactly what you would look for one to end up showing up. In addition, that's a full retrace. So I don't know about the dominance going and setting new highs. I think it's reasonable that it could just stay here. It could just stay. Yeah. Maybe higher, right? But, I think it would be pretty much decimation to the altcoin market, obviously, if Bitcoin dominance goes higher, right? If it takes out these levels, it goes there. I mean, that's like altcoin decimation, isn't it? I just don't see how I could do it. I don't know. I do know I'll be buying Bitcoin, though. Joey says, how low do you think XRP can go? Can you do the XRP charts? Thanks for everything, brother. Grateful for your honesty and how correct you've been. Thank you very, very much. Again, let me reiterate, bottoms are 100 times harder to pick than tops are. Measurement wise of an A leg equals C leg, right? That gets us down to about 90 cents or so, right? We know that when the SEC lawsuit came to an end, or at least when Judge Torres ruled, or was it Judge Netburn? I think it was Judge Torres, that XRP is not a security. That's where the resistance levels were. And of course, we broke from those resistances and have never back tested those resistances. So from measurement perspectives, it makes sense to go to those levels. For all the magical trend liners as well, that also aligns for your big, beautiful trend lines at the exact same time. So I don't know. I mean, $1 seems reasonable. That it would be really nice if it just slammed it and shot right back up from there. That would be very, very nice if it could just rebound very quickly. But today, currently, right now, on February 4th, without the luxury of having hindsight and having to use foresight, the current thoughts are maybe $1. Maybe a little under. Jesse says, what if surprise USDT restructuring to only USDC? Surprise restructuring only to USDC. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Am I dumb? I know we were talking about redemptions. Is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about redemptions? What if surprise USDT redemptions to only USDs? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm sorry. Prez Ronald Grump, thank you very much. It's very generous. Could you let us know where you think we are in that meme crashing structure you brought up in Bear's past, as well as quick analysis on the gold Bitcoin chart, looking for a place to find a bounce? With the gold to silver one, the gold Bitcoin USD over gold. I don't know if I have a so like looking at it through the same lens of silvers, right? One, would there be a bounce here first, right? Silver didn't do it. It just kept going, right? Okay, well, would there be one at the next low, at the next support, right? Maybe. Silver didn't really. It kind of went down a little bit, and then I would say, like, if we hadn't seen, like, if silver was exactly where it is, right? If silver was right there, right? Because this is where gold is, right? If silver was here at the exact same place, my answer to you would be that, well, we'll probably come back here and we'll back test the underside of this, and we'll fall back down to these lows, and then accumulate in a spirally circular form, and then head back up to these levels once again. But I would have been wrong to say that about silver, and then thinking maybe there, and then thinking maybe there. So I don't have a true answer for you in regards to what is my opinion of what is the exact spot that the Bitcoin to gold ratio is going to bounce at, because I could make the argument that it will bounce right here, right? Back test and then head back down again. But making that assumption, had I done it with silver, would have been utterly wrong, right? Utterly wrong. So I don't want to guess on it. What I don't think is that if we do go below there, I don't think we would go much lower than there, and then it's still about shifting its way back up. And that's what our next cycle looks like, is Bitcoin outperforming gold again. And will gold be rampaging at the exact same time something like this is happening, or is gold crashing to cause something like that? I don't know. But if I tried to guess what silver would have done here, this would have been my guess, and that guess would have been wrong. And so if I make that same guess right now, am I going to be wrong again? I don't know. Thank you very much, though. BC Adventurer 8852. Hey, BCB, that bearish BCB has saved my portfolio. Do not apologize for that. Who we need is that BCB from 6 years ago who shared his coins in various targets. Please help. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad to open eyes. Oh. It's been not fun. It's very alone on an island. I'm very used to having a lot of support from other content creators and things like that. And I'm very alone on an island right now. And it's been that way for several months. People don't touch my content with the 10-foot pole, nothing like that. It's just constantly you're wrong. It's data doesn't want to be shared. Nobody's reaching out. It's very different, right? It's very different when we're in a bull and we're all on the same team. I'm getting asked for interviews. I'm getting asked for all this type of stuff. And then it's just, no, don't want to touch it. Don't want to retweet you. Don't want to talk. I don't want to be anywhere associated with you. And that's just kind of the world I'm in right now. And so trying to get through this. Oh, but by the way, I will be on stage. Can you believe it? I do still get to go on stage at the World of Innovation. Let me pull this up. World of Innovation. Wave of Innovation. This thing right here. In 22 days, 23 hours, they're going to let this dingus right here on stage with these people. And so it'll be interesting. I'll get to talk about stuff, man. And I have been on stage before in 2024 for the Wave of Innovation, where I gave like a 37-minute presentation and presented a lot of data. I don't think I'm actually giving a full-blown presentation at this one. I think I'm more of like on a panel situation, but I'll be talking a lot about cycles and all that type of stuff and the dynamics, and certainly into, of course, the very interesting social media dynamics of what we've all witnessed right here. So, just so you know, I'm not afraid to act like this on stage. I'm not afraid to do it. I don't know, man. Okay. Ripple Reverend, this is my first time really trading. I set buy orders, but boy, do I not trust these exchanges. I've always been told, not your keys, not your crypto. Right. So Not your keys, not your crypto, because exchanges have sometimes a tendency to go down, right? That's the hard thing. That's why people, whenever people ask me, "Hey, what exchanges do you recommend?" I'm like, I don't recommend any. Like, we watch too many of them fall. Um, but there's the risks of everything, right? There's the risks of keeping your crypto on an exchange. There's the risks of self custody. Don't let anybody tell you there's no risks of self custody, right? You watch people lose their crypto all the time, right? With their own self custody, but you have to vet what you want and where you want to store your crypto. You know. But yeah, no, like I don't trade, right? Like it's not something I'm doing all the time. Like you go reflect back on how often is it I'm telling you on channel I'm selling 50% of my crypto. How often is it on Twitter or X I post I'm selling 50% of my crypto? These are rare moments. Rare. Not common. Not things that happen all the time. And rarely to happen more than once within 2 years, right? All right, I'm gonna have to start moving faster because I'm already at an hour and 20 minutes, and I am, oh my gosh, I'm an hour behind in super chat. So I've failed you as an audience again. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to move faster, guys. Steve Melling says, "Are we about to go into a bear market?" Just kidding. Love you, BCB. Thank you for the kind super chat and the joke, man. Fermenderb. I feel horrible the way I just did that. I slaughtered it. Sorry. Do you think silver is just retracing now? It looks like it's retrace. All right. Sean Brenna. Hey, BCB. Any thoughts on Tether accumulating so much gold recently? Are you still under the impression that they could be insolvent? Thanks for everything. I've never said I think that they are insolvent. I don't think I have ever said that. They do have questionable auditing, but I don't think I've ever said they're insolvent. I don't know what to think about them getting gold. I don't know what to think about that. XRP Bandit. Thank you very much. XRP Bandit says, any thoughts on the FOMC meeting? I'm trying to think what happened during the FOMC meeting. They paused. It sounded like they were going to stay paused. There's like no intention of doing anything moving forward. Everybody's in agreement, or at least the majority are in agreement. We're not going to be doing anything moving forward. They're ignoring gold. When I believe Ben Bernanke used to say that, or no, was it him? It was, who was it? The Fed chair who gold was like the main killer, the main driver. I don't know. They said they're ignoring gold. Yeah, no real thoughts on the FOMC. XRP Crypto Keeper, just wanted to thank you, BCB. This is my first of many cycles I did in a round trip. I finally was able to buy a small condo and solar panels for my parents. I'm forever grateful. And again, thank you for all that you do. Man, thank you so much. It's all you. I did buy my new carpet, guys. My house is carpeted. It is very nice. Thoughts on Monero, sir? We already covered that one. Thank you, brother. Tony Twin. Again, you're stuck in an environment where like you're back at the high, but if the whole market is going to like capitulate or something, will it get impacted by it? That's the real question, man. Because liquidations don't just hit isolated coins; it hits the whole market all at once. And so it's just, is it going to be a structured fall, or is it going to be a liquidating type fall? If it's a liquidating type fall, Monero is probably going to get impacted by it. And that's the hard part. Olaf Pearson, message retracted. And then again, he says, hey, I was wondering why there could be a good time to buy Circle. Isn't it supposed to stay stable? Circle, the company, makes money. Circle, the company, is not the stable coin. That's probably a good question. Circle, the company, is the issuer of the stablecoin, not the actual stablecoin itself, like USDC over USD. Or maybe just do USDC USD. Right. The stablecoin is always stable at $1. Right. Or 0.99997 of $1. And sometimes at $1. But Circle is a company, right? Who's the issuer of it? EK, long-term thoughts on Cardano. The cycle disappointed for sure. I agree. Maybe another newsletter like last year analyzing winners, common traits, implications for the next. I totally agree. I don't think that's going to come out in the next issue by any means because it's going to take time to put it together. But I brought that up earlier in here that there's going to have to be those discussions again to figure out what were common themes. I know for sure common themes were percentage drawdowns through the bear for this cycle, just like they were in 2021. I know for sure it's going to be even less on development activity and user activity. I know for sure on those it'll be less. We're going to have to find out how much less. But I know for sure the category still undisputed champion category when it comes to crypto is percentage drawdowns during a bear. It's like consistent, repetitive data. Shallowest drawdown group is the victorious champion. And then I think just like we saw back in 2021, if you're drawing down 95, 96, 97% in the bear market, your statistical probability of going back up to the high is like 2%. And I think our 2% winner for that category, and was like the lonely wolf for 2021 through 2025, was Solana. It was the one that did that. That was the one that did. As for Cardano, I don't have any strong thoughts on it outside of just underperformance, man. Maddie, Man Iceland, question: if you had only $1,000 a month and like me were terrible at trading, what would you do? And may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you. Thank you very much. One, I don't get financial advice, right? So let me say that. Not going to tell you what to do. I don't tell you when to buy. I don't tell you when to sell. And what I've done in the last couple of cycles is kind of waited until a big kaboom happened in the market. And then I just consistently just add. And there's no trading, no nothing like that. Trading is 99% of people are going to fail at trading. And I'm sure you've all witnessed it here in these last couple of months. How many big traders that you thought were amazing got their accounts absolutely blown up in October. And then watched how many trades just keep getting annihilated here that they're longing this whole thing down, right? Trading is very, very difficult, especially day trading and especially leverage trading. You're gonna get taken. You're gonna get your money taken. Leverage trading, it's gonna all get wiped out every time. It's predatory in crypto. This market is already so tremendously volatile. You're just gonna get wiped out, and everybody knows it. So don't do it. And what are we talking about? I'm even writing about it. I'm talking about it here. Like, people are just getting nonstop wiped out. You're watching it over and over and over and over and over again. So you'll never get me supporting leverage trading. But barring the market comes back one day, right? Typically getting through some type of event where the retail sentiment is very negative. I think we're slowly transitioning there. I don't think we've reached the moment where we've said, like Frankie from the Christmas Story, says, "Oh, fudge." But he didn't say fudge. No. He said the big four-letter word. I don't think we've hit that. You know what I mean? Like, where people are just like, I can't believe it. And then after that point, it's like, all right, just stacking. I'm just stacking. Don't know if I'm getting the true bottom, but I'm stacking because we have reached deep leverage unwinding, right? Where you get to a point where people have been forced to sell and there's like a true underlying bid, right? Where there's been so much unwinding that is happening is that it's not just people panic selling, it's forced selling. It's where there's so much forced selling, it can't push the market any lower reasonably. And that's where I just be stacking. The dollar amount that you have, like when you save $1,000 a month, it's like, it's not the dollar amount. It doesn't matter if you have $5 a month or $100,000 a month. You know, just do it however you want and however you're comfortable. But some people are not okay with sitting in stuff for 2 years, man, and it just being flat for 2 years. But that happens, right? That's what happened with XRP. We were flat from 2022 all the way through late 2024. We spent 2 years bouncing between 30, like bottomed at 29 cents in 2022, in June of 2022. And then it was at 51 cents finally when it took off 2.5 years later. And that's painful for a lot of people. And so it's all about, you know, it's not about how much dollars you have. It's just, you know, what can you afford to lose? What can you afford to, and that's such a cliche BS thing that all these people say, oh, only risk as much as you can afford to lose. We're all going to be financially free and rich. Just follow me. Baloney. But, you know, it is, you know, how long can you just let it sit in there? And with the mindset, how has the market historically behaved? The market historically behaves this way, okay? Clear as cut, and we've seen it even in this crummy cycle we just went through. What has the market done every time? 2013, 2017, 2021, 2025. What has it done every single time? After the presidential election, the price shoots up, and that's potentially the top. So the way I think about it is anything that I'm going to be buying here pretty soon, I can hope and wish and pray that things get going much sooner than that. But knowing that if I'm holding, I know the dollars I'm putting in, I'm probably keeping in there until after the election, after the presidential election. Okay, I said I was going to move faster, and I've just gone slower. I got to go faster. BCB, you are one of the few reasons I still have YouTube on my phone. Thank you so much. Freedom for all. Thank you. Texas Takeover, do you foresee your XRP price targets changing now that we are starting a new cycle, or is $10 still the target? It'll still remain that same place. I'll have different, just depending on how low this goes. I mean, can we open the door for $10 or 11 or 12? Maybe. I don't want to get into that yet, but I've looked at it. I don't want to get into it yet. But it still would be the 4.236 extension of the market cap based on the 2018 high. Oh, dang. Did I skip a bunch of people? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. The super chat just slowed down. Sweet. Texas Takeover, thank you so much. Frey Vortex, what's your estimated bottom re-entry for Bitcoin? Man, you'd have to go back and watch this whole video. Here's the smallest super chat. Give me the bottom. Go back and watch the video. I'm not going to go through all that. You'll get 10 of those questions today. Skeleton, we heart you, BCB. You have taught me so much, and I'm forever grateful. Man, thanks. All right. Are we getting any other movement here? Because I got Bitcoin. It's in the 73s again. I got XRP in the 153s. So just hoping we get through it sooner than later, guys. So yeah, I look forward to partying. All right. Ripple Reverend says, can you see H bar going to 3 cents? It just depends on what this capitulation looks like, man. Like, I'm not going to pick bottom on any alts right now. Right? Like, how bad is it going to get? Right? How bad is that going to get? I don't know. You know, the thing I feel more comfortable doing is if we can get obvious signs of things emerging in here. Of bottom formations, but I just don't see it. So I don't want to guess, man, because you could just be so stupid. Like, not that you can be. I don't want to say. I'm doing my best to not say stupid things. Right. I've got 1,500 people watching. I don't want to say something stupid because I'm also not naive. I'm not naive in knowing that it's way more harder to pick bottoms. Way harder to pick bottoms than it is to pick tops. And that we know what happens if liquidations hit. If liquidations hit, we see what happens with the liquidity in these altcoins, that there can just be these types of wicks even. Like, it's nothing new to see that type of wick right there, right? They've always shown up because the liquidity essentially goes non-existent in these environments. And so I don't know. You know what I mean? So, okay. 153 on XRP. That'll be the thing. I'm hoping we can get through this faster than slower. The whole thing I'm just hoping is it's not one of those things where it's really slow and drawn out for 2 or 3 months. I'd rather get it over with soon. Hey, I'm back into being a buyer and accumulator, everybody. We're on the same team. Don't hate me. And I get it. You guys are very supportive. I want Twitter to like me too. It's like, one day. I want Twitter. Yeah. Here's me. Yeah, this is me all day. Hold on. I gotta go find it. This is me. I want Twitter to like me. Then I go be an absolute jackass on Twitter and then poke at him. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I do want him. Okay. Am I missing anything here? Let me make sure I've got all these super chats. Skeleton again, thank you, brother. Ripple Redman, could you see it going to 3 cents? I mean, I would hope not. But I think we just got to kind of get through a weird phase in the market. Sensi, XRP did from 2017 to 2024 gigantic ABCDE. Now we have wave 1 and soon finishing a wave 2. So fair to say we're having an aggressive wave 3 next. I would hope so, man. That would be fantastic. I think what people think when they say aggressive wave 3, you're looking for $100. I'm not in that camp that's where we're going to, right? Just not in that camp. So, I think $8 or $9 or $10 would be awesome. Would be absolutely epic. Daddy, Manisland says, I love your content. I appreciate the response. Thank you very much. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to get off of here. If you guys could like the stream, it would mean a lot to me. Thank you. Where's this thing? Yeah. Oh, by the way, Wave of Innovation. You guys want to check it out? I don't get paid. I'm not going to make any money to do this thing. It's going to cost me a lot of money to fly out there and do this stuff. I'm going to treat it kind of like a little mini vacation at the same time. But of course, there's the stress of getting up there on stage and things like that. But you guys can come see me. And that's my favorite part of why I even go to these things in the first place. Just kind of hang out with people, take photos with people and have chats with you guys. You can go to waveofinnovation.com. You can also use code BCB 2026. It ain't getting much off. I think maybe it saves you 15. I think maybe $50. I don't know. Either way, check it out. February 27th, Crown Towers. So, alrighty. On other notes, check out the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Surely it'd be the best newsletter you've ever read today. George says, what are your thoughts on the Bitcoin super cycle? Laughable. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. Let me hit you with the frog on the way out the door. Somebody asked earlier, hey, when is the next members live stream? It's been a long time since we've done one. Maybe we'll do one tomorrow morning. I'll post in the community section about it, but I'll keep it in my mind. I'm like, maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see. Till then, yeah, I'm gonna hit you with the frog, and we'll enjoy this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. It
is Wednesday, my
All right, that is it, everybody. Oscar gifted 5 BCB memberships. Brother, thank you. Hey, guys, have a great week. I'll check in with you very soon, and I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. Oscar gifted another one. Thank you. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.